This is episode 30 of the Lash Tribe Show. And in today's episode, I am going to talk about pricing. How much should you charge? What is a break-even point? What is your product cost? How many clients per day do you need to have to cover all of your costs? Should you be charging $50 because every other salon in your area is charging that much? If you would like to know how to work all of this out, and if you want to have a look behind the books a little bit and working out numbers, then stay tuned.
Welcome to the Lash Tribe Show. My name is Julia Mann and I am a lash artist, trainer, international speaker and business growth coach. Each week we bring you a new guest or inspiring tip that will help new and existing lash artists to unlock their full potential and create the business of their dreams. So thanks again for joining me today. Now let's get right into it.
Hey, welcome back. Now, I would firstly recommend that if you're only listening to this episode, which is totally fine, I would recommend you do hop onto our YouTube video though. If you are on this, hi and welcome, you are in the right place. If you're not there yet, go to lashtribe.tv and click onto the video that says episode 30 of the Lash Tribe Show, because I will be sharing with you some of our workbook material that we actually go through in our classic training when it comes to pricing correctly. So I don't want you to miss out on any of those things that I will be sharing with you, and screen sharing as well. I know that a lot of you that are starting out don't know how much to charge if you haven't been taught this in training. So I want to kind of start up with that, and then I want to go more so into the calculations of what it means to have a break-even point and when you're actually starting to make a profit. So first things first, pricing really has to vary from technician to technician because skill levels are very different. If you are just starting out, you need to start practicing to be able to charge a certain amount of money. How much that is, again, we have to work out in the end. But firstly, you need to take into consideration how long have you been lashing for and what is your skill level like? Have you attended lots of training courses? Have you been lashing for 2 years? Your prices need to reflect that because you are at a different skill level. So the more you train and practice, the better you will become, the more you need to charge as well. And obviously, if you're attending further training, online conferences, online training, you're purchasing more expensive products, you need to up your pricing accordingly. Then also your setup should be taken into consideration, because if you're working from home, from a small room, or whether you have an actual storefront salon, obviously pricing is very, very different. You have a lot higher setup costs and maintenance costs if you are in a salon where you are charged rent, electricity, water, even maybe you even have staff, council rates, whatever you might need to cover, or any extra costs that will highly affect your pricing as well. So if you're working from home, that's amazing. You don't have many extra costs apart from some things that I will be going into now, basically. So what is a break-even point? And I'm going to read this off our trusty little workbook here. A business break-even point is the stage at which its revenue, what you are making, equalizes, so cancels each other out, and with its costs. So again, a business break-even point is the stage at which its revenue equalizes with its costs. So whatever you're spending and whatever you're making, that is kind of breaking even. Yeah, that equals each other out. Whenever you're covering your costs, whether that's your setup costs or your running costs, and anything from there on is a profit. Everything up to there is just trying to make good on what you have spent. Plus, now having reached that break-even point, you can now finally make some money. Okay, hope that makes sense. And we are going to go into this very soon to show you how to work out your break-even point. But basically, once you have determined that kind of figure that you need to make per client or per day or per week, then you can take a really hard look at your costs from rent and labor, materials, and your pricing structure. And you can then ask yourself the question, are my prices too low or are they too high to reach break-even point? Too high, obviously, it could be a thing if you're not making any money, obviously. But most of the time, if you're not reaching your break-even point, you either have your prices too low or they are too high and you're not getting enough clients through because they don't see the value in the services that you're offering. And obviously, at the end of the day, you want to have a business that is sustainable. So you need to know your numbers. Now, to calculate your break-even point, there is something called fixed costs, which I talk to you about it now, but not everything will apply to your business, obviously, but I will tell you about whatever applies to us, okay? So we have our constant running costs, fixed costs that don't change, yeah? Such as internet, phone. They stay the same because we have a bundle that we get charged every month. So I know exactly what to expect. We have the rent. Now, rent obviously is something that is a variable yearly, because yearly the price gets put up by 1, 2, 3%. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So there will be a yearly increase. But if you wanted to calculate it for the year, that is where it's at. Then the main cost that I had was obviously the setup cost, getting the fit out, getting all the beds, the lights, the trolleys, the pillows, the chairs, anything like that. That is something that gets depreciated over time. I don't want to talk too much about weird names if you don't know the terms, but basically it means you buy one thing once, and then each time tax time comes, a little bit of that gets kind of added into your tax return. It's depreciation. Okay. If you don't know what that is, go and look it up. I'm not an accountant. I just want to talk to you about pricing structure. Now, other fixed costs, which can be variables, obviously, are also our products. I always know what our products costs, but then depending on the client, that price can kind of vary depending on how many lashes do I put in per client? How often do I use a drop of glue? Do I maybe need to clean the lashes for 10 minutes longer and use 2 different iPads instead of 1 iPad? Yeah. All of those costs initially are fixed because I always pay the same for our products. Obviously, again, yearly that can change, or maybe 6 monthly, but all in all, it's the same cost. But then they can vary from client to client as well. Then there's other costs such as electricity. Then there's my staff. Paying myself a wage is also kind of a fixed cost because I pay myself the same amount every week. And I will review that yearly as well. Now, something that is also a fixed cost for the year is our insurance. We have several insurances. We have a public liability, which in Australia you need to have if you're running a business. There's a product liability insurance, as well as fire and theft, glass breakage. And then we also have trainer insurance, obviously, for training. Now, all of those costs add up. Let's say the costs for all of that is $5,000. I know for us it's more because the rent alone is $5,000, but let's just make it an even number, $5,000 a month. Yeah. Now, if you are seeing clients, I do calculate how much does the service cost on that client. I do that every time for every service. I don't do it every time, but I do it for every service so that I know a lash lift will cost me $25. A fresh set of lashes, volume lashes, might cost me $10. Yeah. All of that you need to go through. So again, have a look at your product costs. How much do your lashes cost when you buy them? Do they cost you $20 a tray, or do they cost you $10 a tray? And then how many clients can you actually get out of that tray? So I will show you what we have here. In here, you can see what is it, rent. This is where we would put in our cost per year, per week, per day. And then in our terms, when we do this training, we calculate it at 3 clients per day. That is a very normal number. You're not super busy, but you're busy enough to know you have regular clients. Yeah. So if you have 3 clients per day, you can also work that out. So say rent is, I don't know, $60,000 a year. That makes it about $5,000 something a month. So whatever number you write here, you need to divide that by 365, and then you get the cost per day. Then if you're getting 3 clients per day, you divide that cost again by 3, and then you are left with a number. So that means basically, if you only see 3 clients per day, you would pay, I don't know, maybe let's say $10 alone in rent just to entertain or service each client if you have 3 clients per day. Yeah. Then our next area here would be insurance. So an insurance can vary anywhere from $200 to $2,000, depending on all the services that you're offering, how big your space is, if you are a supplier. So again, I break that all down by cost per day and then per client. And in our case, when we work this out with our students, we come to something that's around $1 to $2 for insurance per client if you have 3 clients a day. A booking system is also something you need to take into consideration. Some booking systems are quite affordable. They cost maybe $25 or $30 a month. And then some people have booking systems that cost $300 a month. And they do also point of sale and things like that for larger salons. I always recommend try and work smart and try and save as much money as you can. There's a booking system I recommend, which is called Acuity Scheduling. It doesn't do point of sale, but you can add products in it and then add it as an appointment. And that booking system only cost me $30 a month. Yeah, so it's very, very affordable. And again, if you work that out per client, it would be in the cents. Yeah, it wouldn't be dollars. Then something else you need to add in your whole costing is your phone and internet, website, anything like that, maybe even a social media manager or VA if you have that. And then, of course, product cost per application. Now, I want to talk about the product cost per application a little bit because it obviously varies from service to service, but also it varies depending on the products that you're buying. This is why I said earlier, if you're buying a $25 tray of pre-made volume fans, but you need 2 trays to finish that service, that is $50 in costs to do a service on someone. Some people, if you have like a normal small tray, you might need up to 2 trays to finish a full set of lashes. So $50 in costs. Yeah. And if you're only charging $60 for the full set and it takes you 2 hours to do this full set of lashes, you're making $5 per hour. It's probably better to work for someone else in that instance. Yeah. This is why it's so important to work out how much per service does it cost you in products alone. Now, if you are getting lashes from Lash Tribe or from other reputable companies, your cost per service might be around $10, $15. Okay. Now, I'm not talking pre-made fans. I'm talking classics and handmade Russian volume. Pre-made fans is always a little bit higher. Obviously, you might add another $10 on top of that, maybe 15. But you need to make sure that you now work out how much time does it take you to do the service. Say, for example, it costs you, let's make it $25 to do a pre-made set, $25. And it takes you 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is fast, to do this full set of pre-made fans. Yeah. Now it's taking you 90 minutes. It's costing you $25 in costs, product costs alone. Now, on top of that, we have rent, insurance, booking system, phone, internet, maybe staffing. Yeah, if you have staff, it's a whole nother level. You have to charge a lot more to actually break even. But say you have your $25 and then you have another $20 in other costs. That includes what I just said, rent, insurance, booking system, phone, internet, per client if you have 3 clients a day. So you are up to, what have we said? Let's make it 45. I think I said $25 and $20. So $45 it costs you. It takes you an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes for $45. Yeah. That is you working for an hour and a half and losing $45 basically. So now you need to work out how much do you need to charge to make back the $45. Obviously, you have to charge $45. Now you're at 0, but you still worked for an hour and a half. So now you want to make more money than your break-even point. And if you are only charging, let's say, $100 for this full set of pre-made fans, that means you're charging an extra $55 essentially on top of your product costs. you want to make an extra $55, but the service takes you an hour and a half. Yeah. So if you divide 90 minutes by the $55, let me just quickly work that out myself. Okay, so I've just worked it out. It's 60 cents you would make per minute, essentially, if you are charging $100 for the set of lashes and everything, including products, insurance, and so on, having 3 clients a day, costs you $45, which is on the higher end. Yeah, but I want to give you an example. So you're making 60 cents per minute. Now, how much is that per hour? $36. Yeah, so you can work it out that way. So you're making $36 per hour if you take an hour and a half to do the lashes. If you took 2 hours to do a full set of pre-made lashes with the same costs, you would make a lot less money. Okay, so let's work that out. So we need to now calculate 120 minutes being 2 hours divided by $55, because $55 is your break-even point. Yeah, you don't really add your costs to it. You need to make sure you know your break-even point. So you need to have the $55 as your, I guess, add-on. Yeah, this is where you're making money. So the result is 0.45 for the 2 hours. That's per minute. Now, if you times that by 60 minutes again, it would be $27 per hour. You would make, as a business owner, charging $100 for a set of lashes, you would only make $27 per hour. Now, whether that is worth it to you to run your own business, be available 24/7, be stressed, run your social media, and do all of those things for $27 an hour, go ahead and keep doing it. I can tell you now, most people that are actually employed, and I'm talking Australian dollars, so you need to convert it into your currency if you want to find out how much that is in your part of the world, wherever you are. So you need to decide for yourself if it's worth it for you to work for $27 an hour. Personally, for me, it's not worth it. I'd rather work for someone else and make $35 an hour, take home, not have the headache of running a business. Yeah. So for me, I charge at least $97 to $100 per hour. I have costs of my products, obviously, as well. My insurance is higher, my rent is higher, so I need to charge accordingly. But even if it wasn't this high, I would never, ever want to just make $25 to $27 an hour Australian. Okay. So I would recommend everyone that watches this or listens to this, work out all of your costs, write down on a sheet, on an Excel spreadsheet. What did you buy in the start? What are you currently charging per your services? Work out how much does it actually cost you if you have 3 clients a day or 2 clients a day. Maybe you only have 1 client a day. If you worked it out with 1 client a day, this would be a lot worse, because all of your costs will now have to spread very thinly for this 1 client. That's why if you are only working on a very slim margin, which means a very little markup, very little profit, you need to have lots and lots of clients to make it worth your while. Or you need to up your prices, and then you don't have to work on as many clients because it will even itself out. Okay. So again, in Australia, in the beauty industry, most people that are successful charge at least $1.5 to $2 per hour. Okay. So that means if you are charging anywhere from $80 to $120 per hour, that is considered industry standard for a good running business. If you're charging less than that, and that's not the profit, if you're charging less than that, you're not going to make a profit. Obviously, if you have very high product costs, you're making very little profit. So do buy those products from reputable sources that are not super overpriced, and make sure that you don't waste product either. There's a video which we'll link in the show notes on our YouTube channel that shows you how to prepare lash tiles and how to actually save those lashes, not as in reuse them, because we don't reuse lashes, but how to actually cut them so that you only have tiny little pieces each time, because you can always grab more. You can't put back because that's not very hygienic. So making sure you're using your product sparingly. And if you have staff, make sure they know only to use this and this many products, only change your glue every 20 minutes and not every 10. Obviously, if the glue sets too fast, they don't have a choice. They might have to do that, or maybe start using a little well or a little ring that holds the adhesive and holds it for longer without it going off. Only using one set of eye pads, not 2 or 3, using everything very sparingly so that you can work out your actual running costs, your cost per service. If you're doing services such as lash lifting, for example, it will be a little bit more expensive again using those lotions. So if you have several clients throughout the day, you might be able to use the sachet on 2 people instead of just 1. If you're using Ilebana products for lash lifting, for example, you are able to get 2 people out of 1 sachet. So step 1, you get 2 people. Step 2, you get 2 people. And if you are storing it and you're really tightly sealing it again after first use, if you have too much air getting to it, it will go off straight away. But that way you can really lower your costs as well. Shop insurances, make sure that you are comparing some really good rates. Again, products is very important. Maybe renegotiate the rent with your landlord if you have a landlord, and make sure you don't buy the most expensive things of everything. You don't need the most expensive bed. You don't need the most expensive ring light. There's things that you can buy on a budget that are not going to break the bank and that will really help you to lower that break-even point for you. So what does that mean in terms of what should you charge for your services? Again, it depends on your skill level. It depends on your running costs, on your products, on your rent, electricity, and so on and so forth. Again, like I said earlier, in Australia, the going rate is anywhere from $1.50 to $2. If you are in the US, it's probably a little bit lower in some areas, and in some areas it's a bit higher. So I would recommend you go have a look at your skill level, compare yourself to others online. I don't really like to say that usually, but some people think they're amazing at lashes when their service is really not that good. And if you start comparing yourself to other work, maybe you will find that, okay, maybe I'm at the lower end. So have a look at their work, go onto their website and see how much they're charging. And don't just look at 3 people, look at 20 people in your area. Go onto Instagram, go onto their website or whatever else they have, their booking system, and have a look how much everyone is charging. Add all of that up together per the service. Let's say, for example, a full set of pre-mades, because that's what we just talked about. If you have a look at everyone's costings, everyone's prices, you have a look at 20 people, add all of the prices together of the same service and then divide it by 20. That will give you kind of the median price of everyone. And then you need to decide, do you want to match that? Do you want to be a little bit higher? I don't recommend ever that you're lower than that. Yeah. If you're listening to the Lash Tribe Show, I hope that you are one of the people in the industry that are trying to do the best they can. You are one of the ones that is always educating themselves. So I feel that your skill level is probably higher than from someone who works out of their bedroom with kids and dogs running around and not educating themselves. So I feel like, yeah, if you are here, you need to charge a little bit more, okay? And the more you educate yourself, the more you train, the more money you spend on training, the more money you will have to charge, yeah? So what the hourly rate means to you, again, it's totally personal, yeah? For me, I want to make at least $40 an hour personally for me to run a business, because it takes a lot to run a business. If I make anywhere under $40, I always try and either get more clients in or maybe up my pricing a little bit so that I make more profit. If you are under that 30 threshold, I would revisit your business altogether and your pricing and make sure you charge accordingly. So make sure you do have a look at this and work out your costings, okay? We will put a screenshot of this as well, maybe even a link. We'll talk to the team about it, of how we can get this document to you so that you can actually fill it out just to give you an idea, I'm just going to go through some of our numbers and how we run it in the salon. So how much should you charge? Yeah, what are some good rates? Now, most lash artists that we teach, they are initially charging their set higher than obviously the refill, which is completely normal, yeah? And it is regardless of the timing. For me, sometimes it takes me only an hour and a half to do a full set of volume lashes. And then if they come back after 3 or 4 weeks for a refill, it might even take me an hour 15, hour 20, sometimes even close to an hour and a half. And I charge less for that because the initial set is always more expensive. It's just the way it is, okay? It shows your skill level. Firstly, it's no different than getting a Brazilian wax. Maintenance is always more affordable. Same with an eyebrow. If you come after 4 weeks again, you just are charged maintenance, yeah? So a new classic set should take you anywhere from an hour, hour and a half, very rare 2 hours if someone has a gazillion lashes. I would not charge less than $120, and most places that I teach go up to $180, $190 for a full set of classic lashes. A refill should take for classic lashes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, hour 15, depending on how many weeks obviously they go. And again, it should not be any less than $60 for the 30-minute refill to $100 for like an hour refill. Yeah, I work at around $100 per hour. A new set price can be charged by type of set initially. So if you have someone coming in that wants to have something very natural, they've never had lashes before, we have a set that we call the mini set. The mini set might only take me an hour to do, and I charge $120. This is like a little getting used to lashes kind of set. Very fast and simple to do. Then we have another set, which we call our natural set, which I work with time. So I allow an hour 15 to create this set, regardless of whether I fill everything up or there's lots of lashes left, because it really depends on the initial starting of the client's lashes. If the client has 200 lashes per eye, I will not be able to fill them all in an hour and a half. If the client has only very few lashes, I will be able to fill it in an hour and a half. And the price for that is $150. So again, I go by visual in a way, but I also mainly go by time. Yeah. Then we have our last set, which I call our Oh Baby set. At some stage, we might rename them, but this is what it is right now. For our Oh Baby set, which is our fullest set, I allow an hour and a half. So whatever I can fill in that time, however much density I can create. For me personally, I'm very fast at lashing. From you, it might be 2 hours to start with, or maybe even 2.5. If you are a beginner, that's fine. We charge $180. Yeah, Australian. Then we have our charging per weeks. So an example is if someone wants to book in online, I always say, if you are coming in within 2 weeks, so within 14 days, we charge you this much. If you're coming in within 21 days, we charge you this much, because you can't really say you are coming in for 1 hour next time or 1.5 hours next time. You don't know exactly. So whenever you have a new client, I always say, I don't know yet how much time we need for your refill. So come in, we'll book a little bit more time out. Maybe for the first 2 times, we'll get to know your lashes, how well you look after them. And then we kind of get an idea after the first 2 times. And I charge per week. I am blocking out a certain amount of time, obviously. So for our 1 week refill, it might be 45 minutes. For our 2 weeks, I allow 45 minutes. For our 3 weeks, I allow 1 hour, and that's for classic lashes. Yeah, classic lashes don't take as long to remove and to refill than volume lashes. So again, I charge per time, per hour, but for them they're coming in before the 14, before the 21 days. Otherwise, it just gets too complicated for them and they don't quite understand. Now, for our volume lashes, it's more expensive. Obviously, I charge more money because it takes longer. That's essentially it. But really, skill level should also be something that you need to charge extra for. So if I charge $180 for a full set of classic lashes, I might charge 197 to start with, like a light volume set, and then it goes up to around $250, $260 for like a full set. And again, it takes me more time, but my skill level is also higher, so you have to reward yourself for that because you have done all the hard work. Yeah. Then I always have lash removal pricing. We charge from $40 for lash removal, depending on how long it takes. You only know from when you have them coming in for a consultation. If someone says, I want a removal, I say, okay, great, that's fine. I can't tell you exactly how much it is because it could take 20 minutes or it could take 2 hours. I'm not going to remove someone's lashes for 2 hours and only charge them $40. I might as well not go to work that day. That's just not going to happen. So make sure they come in for consultation first. And lastly, I want to talk about lash cleaning charges. Now, I don't charge extra for cleaning because I include it in the time. However, if I have a client coming in every time and I know they are taking forever to do because I have to remove all of their makeup, I will add that in their time and I will tell them, look, if you're booking in for next time, make sure you book in the extra 15 minutes just because we have to clean your lashes. I don't want to make that come off your lashing time. Okay. So yes, you are essentially charging extra, but really it is you adding time. So your client knows they have longer because you have to clean the lashes. If they only book in for an hour and it takes you 15 minutes to clean the lashes, you have to let them know that you're not going to be able to refill everything, or you can try and do as much as you can. But then next time tell them, if you're wearing makeup like this again, I will book you in for a longer time slot, which will be an extra $20. Okay. So they have to make the decision whether they want to come in for longer and pay extra, or whether they want to come in with no makeup on. Yeah, this is something you have to work out with your client. And then you can like work out that with your client expectations. There's also a great podcast I recorded about that. And that is essentially it. Make sure you pay yourself a good hourly rate. Otherwise, you might as well work for someone else, not having that headache of business and social media and talking to clients all the time, trying to fit everyone in. Make sure it's worth it for you. Again, your break-even point is something you need to work out, because if you don't know your numbers, you don't really have a business. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you have any questions, please do let me know and leave me a comment in the show notes of how you like our podcast so far, and give me any suggestions as well of topics that you would like me to cover in the coming ones. And I will see you soon. Bye.